We're up and running live, so it's all open and running. Conversation, we're live. Be careful, Jim.
Good morning. Good morning. This is Pat.
Morning, Pat.
Good morning. Who is there?
John Wagner's here.
Oh, hi, John. I'm trying to get the attention of somebody on the board like Bruce or Jeanette or somebody.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Sounds like my wife when her sisters get together.
Yes. Sounds pretty raucous there, all right. Bruce, are you there? Bruce, are you there? Bruce? John, I don't have a gavel. I can't get their attention.
Having a joke somebody is doing. He is down in Arizona and will join us via the phone. Do you have anything to see?
I am here, actually.
Yeah, I figured you would be. Welcome, Cap. We'll sunshine. It's snow, by the way. In the morning.
Yes, Eric sent me a picture of the Bert Mooney Airport this morning, so I know what is going on down there. So, thank you.
You're welcome. The bathroom locations are, I think you guys know, you'll find them. You're out the door and you go to the left by the King Ballroom in that area. Please sign the attendance sheet for everyone in the room. Webinar, we'll have folks on the phone. And you guys on the phone, all lines are muted. 2 will unmute and 2 will mute again. Public comment or questions will be accepted by typing into the webinar, as well as by unmuting your phone and talking. If on conference call only, please send your name and title, company, and contact information to Paula ploving@montana.gov. Public comments, just say your name, when it's time, and your organization. Microphone will be used for all communication. Will be carried around the room. That not carried around the room. Okay, that is not going to happen. So let's move on. We'll begin an introduction. Board members, Jeanette McKee, board member Hamilton.
Greg Gould, legal counsel from Elks. Eric Schindler, board member from Alabama.
Johnny McCluskey, board member, Billings.
Sheila Wright, board member from Great Falls.
Bob Goshi, board member from Tropical Flathead.
Amber Simpson, board member Billings. Thank you. We'll go around the room. Bruce is sitting in the front row.
This is Pat Melby, board member from Helena, attending by webinar.
Great. Everybody else on the webinar, go ahead. Who else do we have on the webinar? Probably everybody else is here, probably. Anybody else but Pat on the webinar?
John Wagner.
Charlie with Montana Housing.
Okay.
And John, go ahead.
John Wagner from QTAC.
Thank you.
Jane from Bank of Red Lodge.
Susan, could you say that name one time again? It kind of bleeped out.
Jane from Bank of Red Lodge.
Red Lodge. Thank you. Anybody else? All right, we'll start with Bruce, since you're in the front row, and then we'll just go around the room. Thank you for introducing yourself.
I'm Bruce Frenzel. I'm the executive director for the Board of Housing.
Welcome. My goodness, thank you. Welcome.
My name is Andrea Davis. I'm the executive director of Homeward, and Ron Lynn from Cambodia is a fellow with Homeward for the next 3 weeks.
Oh,
This is his first day of the fellowship.
wow.
We would see you all in action.
Yeah, all in action. Welcome.
Yeah, so it's the first time seeing show today.
Talk about pushing him off the
Brand works from Helena. Hello, Bubby. That's Montana Housing. Ashley Motto, Montana Housing. Vicki Bauer, Montana Housing. Susan Francis, Montana Housing. Mary Confidence, Montana Housing. Mary Bear, Montana Housing. Dory Stevens, Executive Director of Habitat for Humanity. What? Brandon Valley, Brenda Sheets, Montana Housing.
John Burkle. John Sertan. Dusty Group.
Burkle from Haber, Property Site Manager for 834. And I'm back with Homeward. Lori Davis.
Casey Bolt, Blue Line Development. Chris Bennett with Blue Line Development.
Ryan Peterson, Short Person there.
Dino Fortier, Naples, Great Falls.
Department of
Dustin Chanel, Montana Housing.
Andy, School House. There you go.
Graph School Housing. McDuffer with the Housing. Yeah.
After School House.
Mark Sanders. Jolly.
Sarah Dartmouth.
Bruce Fogus, Helena.
That's just.
Gene Ward, Jail Development, Helena.
The apprenticeship for the.
Marty Ruth, Pittsburgh, downtown, Executive Director,
Wow, did we get everybody? This is the biggest and largest group I think we have ever had. Bob, I thought you would just repeat everybody's names.
I think I've got this roll. You take it.
Thank you, sir. Welcome, everybody. Really happy you're all here, and really happy you're all here safely, understanding that and knowing that the roads were sort of dicey. Should be great, hopefully, by later. Is there any public comment on anything that is not on the agenda that we will attend with today? And board members, anything that is not on the agenda that you would like added to or? All right. Well, yes. Derek, Alex.
Okay. Madam Chair, members of the board, Alex Burkhalter from Housing Solutions. And as I listened to the introductions, I wanted to say thank you for the vote of confidence in us housers. Tomorrow is the first of the month, and I think everybody's here, so hopefully things are unfold. But no, just a quick update on the full planning project. You guys gave us an award of credits in January of last year. We were able to get that project finished in December, and I'm proud to report as of a week and a half ago, we filed the final paperwork with Florida Housing. It's leased up. 86 commands are issued. It's another project that you guys funded serving those in Montana. So thank you for your confidence in that, and just enjoyed working with you. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. I was in Bolton, drove by it. Really impressive. Happy with the progress.
Thank you. I do have to put a proviso. The grass is not in yet. Because the snow, but it's coming.
Thanks, Alex. Any other? Sheila.
I'd just like to thank the Board of Housing staff
and NeighborWorks Montana staff for all their work on the housing conference. This is a huge event. It happens annually. It's really, really productive, and I know that these things don't happen automatically or overnight. So thank you to all of the board members and staff, and all of the staff members that were involved in all the detail work. Thanks. I'll take a round of applause. I would move, no more comments. I would move for the approval of the prior board meeting minutes that are in your packets.
One more comment.
Yep. All right, so those five. Do you mind coming up here so everybody can hear?
I'm Maria French. I'm on District 4 HRDC in Haver, and I just wanted to, let me hear you on the phone.
Yeah,
Okay.
how are you?
As I said, I'm Maria French with District 4 HRDC in Haver, and I just wanted to thank the Montana Board of Housing for assisting us with our newest low-income housing tax credit project, Animal Court, and our open places taking on Friday, May 11th. We're hoping all the flooding and the snow will be gone by that time. So just wanted to take the opportunity to thank you for supporting our project in Haver.
Thank you for that. Thank you for the invitation. Bruce.
I'll be down at the event, but any of you are welcome to come if you'd like.
All right. Any other comments out there?
Yeah, I have one. I'm Noreen Humes, the Executive Director of Habitat for Humanity in Missoula, and this is my first housing conference in my position that I've been to and to meet all of you, and I just want to thank you so much for the partnership that we have in Missoula. For us, with our model, there is no way that we could continue to build homes for low-income families without your help. So it's extremely important to us, and I just want to thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you very much. You good to go? All right, approval of the minutes from the prior board meeting.
Madam Chair, I move approval.
There's a motion to approve. A second?
I second.
Eric first. And it's been moved and seconded to approve the prior board meeting minutes. All in favor, say aye.
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 Are we? Yeah, Dad, are we good on the phone? Are you hearing the people that are coming up to speak?
Yes, and I did say aye.
Yeah, I heard you say aye. So just wanted to make sure.
Okay.
If you don't hear somebody, give a holler, and we'll move them up closer to the microphone. Thank you.
All right.
2018 A bond issue, Ginger.
Good morning, Good morning.
Good morning.
The public, glad to have you here. I'm actually going to throw a left wrench into the flow here, and I'm going to do the finance update first. If you look at the spreadsheet, you can see that we have 42% of our investments in bonds and government-sponsored securities. This is 34% less year at this time, partly due to those maturities of long-term investments that we had last year. We have been putting those into a little bit shorter term because of the volatility of the market. The weighted average yield for those investments have risen to 2.83 rather than from 2.83 to 3.23. So we are seeing a rise in that weighted average yield. 44% is in money market. That has risen from 0.43% to 1.14%. So you can see that we're just on the money market alone, we're doing a lot better this year. The remainder of our investments is U.S. Treasuries, which is what we're seeing the best yield on right now. We haven't really been able to do very much with the government treasuries. Those are way down. And the yield on those has risen to 1.74 from 1.21 last year. The overall weighted average portfolio has risen to 1.76 from 1.33. So, and that includes the sale of one of our highest yielding investments, which was a 5% yield that was associated with one of the bonds that we refunded last year. Now I'll go back the, 2018 aid. We did close on that one, a little over 38 million. That was closed on the 26th of this month. We are refunding the 2008, with that, and then, of course, we're buying loans with that. The term bonds on the, one that we're refunding, we're at 5.05 to 5.50, and we were able to bring that down. You have that information in your packet there. As of mid-April, the board had purchased 4.9 million in that new series already, and had 15.9 million in commitments. We would raise the rate on our loans, and so we have purchased and reserved to do more. But I'm going to let Vicki talk about that. If you have any questions on any of that?
Good, we're good to go. Thanks, Ginger. Vicki, homeowner finance, homeownership program.
Good morning.
Good morning. Morning.
So the first item on the agenda under the homeownership program is the discussion of income limit for our program. The administrative rules for the board require each year or at other times as necessary, the board review, establishes, revises the income limits for lower income versus the families of income in 3,000 positions under the board program. Those income limits are based on the Section 8 income limits that have been released, and they were released a few weeks ago. And those income limits have to be approved by the IRS through a revenue procedure that they issue once either for us to use the current fiscal year numbers or the previous fiscal year numbers or whatever they deem necessary for our program. The IRS hasn't yet issued their revenue procedure for this year. With that revenue procedure, our incomes are also based on a high cost allocation. There's a bump in some areas around the state, and it's based on a statewide purchase price that's part of the revenue procedure, and that hasn't been issued yet either. We hope to have that issued in the next week or two. Attached to the agenda item, there are the incomes as they're calculated without the cost for the high cost area. As you can see, throughout the state, the majority of the areas did go up in our income limit. A few went down, but the majority went up. And so what I'm requesting today is these aren't the final income numbers that the board will use for our program. We put in IRS revenue procedure in order to get the final, but rather than wait until June, our next board meeting, to have you folks, to have the board approve the income numbers, I do request preliminary approval based on what we see here, for us to just put in really from what is out of the internal revenue procedure that becomes available on that group.
It's not a resolution, just a motion, board.
Correct.
I make that motion.
Okay, is there a second? Second. Any discussion, board? So moved and seconded a resolution to approve these, basically, say it again, so it's
down on the bottom. Staff request the board to staff approve the exchange and begin using the income application revenue procedure is issued, and then we'll provide an update of the actual limit.
Okay, super. All right, all in favor of this such motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Jeanette, this is Pat voting yes.
Thank you, Pat. All right, Vicki, shall we move on?
The next agenda item for homeownership is the approval of a new lender. The Bankers Bridger has submitted an application to become a participating lender with the board. The Bankers Bridger was first chartered in August of 1915. They are known as First National Bank Bridger. A few years later, in February 1992, the bank became the American National Bank Bridger. The
before organizing as the Bank of Bridger in 1941. The Bridger Company acquired the Bank of Bridger in 1985, and ownership remains the same today. Throughout the years, the bank has expanded, opening offices in Montana and Wyoming. The Montana branches currently include the Bank of Bridger, Bank of Butte, Bank of Harlem, Bank of Joliet, Bank of Honeywood, and Bank of Red Lodge. The Bank of Bridger is approved to underwrite RD loans and will have access to the MCC program. They'll sell the servicing of any loans they originate from Montana Board of Housing. Their December 31st audited financials have been reviewed, and they meet the financial requirements of the board, and all required errors and omissions, infidelity, bond insurance coverage requirements have been met. Staff requests that the board approve the Bank of Bridger as a participating lender, and James Jones with the Bank of Red Lodge is on the line if the board has any questions. Any questions for James, who's on the phone?
I have one.
Yes, Bob. Jane, can you hear this?
I can hear you.
Okay, good.
So can you tell me if the Bank of Bridger looks like an impressive number of locations in Montana? Have you folks been briefed on the HUD 184 program?
Which program is that?
The HUD 184, wondering if you have been versed, if you are aware of the HUD 184 program?
I am right now. I'll look.
So not really, is that would be something you would need to look up?
Yes.
Yeah, I was just curious because we need more lenders.
Yeah, not a condition. He's just curious, but if you would go ahead and look that up at some point and communicate back to Vicki, perhaps.
I will do that.
Good, thank you. Any other questions from the board? May I have a motion to approve the Bank of Bridger as a participating lender? So moved. Amber has made the motion. A second?
Second.
Okay, the second has been made. All in favor of the motion to approve the Bank of Bridger, say aye. Aye. And Pat?
Jeanette, this is Pat voting yes.
Thank you. Vicki? So the next agenda item is request for the board. Ever start to mute your phones, please. It's for the board to remove the requirement for borrowers of the cash requirement for borrowers bringing in money when they use RD financing for mortgage loans. Currently in our program, the borrower purchasing a home with RD guaranteed financing is required to contribute an amount of their own funds. $500 if they've taken home buyer education, and $1,500 if they haven't. Although the RD program will allow 100% financing, including closing costs, up to the amount of the appraised value, our program will only finance the purchase price of the property plus the upfront premium for the guarantee fee, thereby leaving the borrower to pay closing costs either out of their own funds, gift funds, seller concessions, or using down payment assistance program. We have heard from lenders that the cash requirement that's imposed on the board program currently deters them from putting our borrowers in our board program or into a board loan. And so staff requests that the board remove the requirement for cashing in from the borrower's part. Yes, question, Bob.
So basically you're just talking about allowing them to finance the closing costs.
Correct.
Okay.
So they would use the down or seller concession, maybe.
Or seller.
Yeah, to cover that.
This is the 502 guarantee.
Any other board questions? Sheila. Vicki, help me with that. Thank you. Vicki, help me with our other loan types of loan requirements. So, just trying to figure out when do we require something in the borrower's cash versus when do we not. So, like with FHA financing,
The FHA will only finance 96.5% of the loan, and so the borrower is required to use down payment assistance, seller concession, whatever means they have available to them to cover that 3.5% as well as closing costs. But there is no requirement for them to come in with cash of their own. VA financing, they can finance. There's no requirement for cash in on a VA loan either. And then our down payment assistance program, there is a $1,000 requirement if they utilize our down payment assistance as well as some other down payment assistance around the state. But like the Home Start program, they've gone away from a borrower contribution. It used to be a match grant, and now I don't believe that there's it does not match any longer. It's just a grant, a $5,000 grant.
And so do we have any knowledge yet? I'm okay with it, but I'm always curious. Does it make a difference? You know, if somebody puts $1,000 in, are they more likely to make their payments on time, or we only did $1,000 and $150,000 deal make that big a difference?
You know, I think at one time there still is a belief of skin in the game makes a difference. I feel like in watching the loans that come in through foreclosure and in talking to Doug Jensen, our foreclosure specialist in the office, and the number of borrowers that we've seen move to foreclosure, be foreclosed on, I really don't think that it makes that much difference. I mean, life happens, and sometimes you end up with a bad borrower, but other times the circumstances of the borrowers have just changed to the point where that $500 or that $1,500 that they brought into the deal, it's not enough to keep that in their home.
So go ahead. So with this, we're still saying that our loan to value under our deed, if they'll only finance, according to the second paragraph, 100% financing, including closing costs, but only up to the appraised value.
Yes.
So the maximum loan to value you have would be 100%.
So just over 100. So the board will allow the purchase price of the home and the upfront guarantee fee, which currently is 1% for our deed, to be slightly over 100%. The closing costs they can't finance into the board loan, but they can use other means of financing that they have available to them.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other board questions? I'd be just interested in you tracking this to say, is this going to increase our numbers? Let's see if this makes a difference.
Okay.
Motion, please, if we're good. Motion to go. Motion from Bob. Second?
Second.
Eric, seconded. So the motion is the board would remove the cash from an RD guaranteed loan. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, board say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? And Pat?
Pat says aye.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead, Vicki.
So the final agenda item for consideration today is to change the current hazard insurance policy. The current hazard insurance policy of the board states that mortgage loans must have coverage in amount at least equal to the lesser of the full insurable value of the premises for the unpaid principal balance of a mortgage loan, provided, however, that such insurance shall pay in full the amount of any partial or total loss to the full amount of such insurance and shall otherwise be sufficient to prevent the mortgagor from becoming a co-insured. And by co-insured, that means that the borrower has to cover some portion of the loss themselves. No part of the property can be excluded from the coverage. Deductibles are listed $1,500 or 1%, with wind and hail being the greater of $2,500 or 1%. This policy works for shipment, bill, all types of how it works when we look at finance or manufactured houses. Sometimes the insurable value determined by the insurance provider is significantly less than the loan amount, and the borrower is left being co-insured, especially the cheap, stable-wide, or older manufactured homes. We do a sizable portion of manufactured home financing in our
yearly. In 2016, 16% of our overall production was on manufactured homes. 2017, it was 10%. So far in 2018, it's 13%. I've done some research, checking with other states, and most other states follow the Fannie Mae requirements, which allow 100% of the value of the improvements as established by the property insured, and they don't seem to be concerned with the gap coverage. The problem that we have that we run into with the policy is right now is when a borrower is working with a lender and they're looking at forward financing. A lot of times, I don't know if they don't fully comprehend what this policy means, or if they get far enough into the transaction and the borrower goes to get hazard insurance, and there is a gap. The insurable value of, we've had a couple. One example was in a manufactured home in Belgrade. The insurable value of that property was $84,000 with replacement coverage, which bumped it up to $96,000 coverage. Well, the loan on that was $202,000, and you take the land value out of the loan amount, and it was $45,000. So you're down at roughly $160. So there's a gap in that coverage. It appraised for that. That's what the buyer was willing to pay for that property. So the value, the marketable value, was $202,000, but the insurable value wasn't. And so in working with the lender, when that package comes in and that loan is closed, and now they're looking at selling that loan to us, we have the conversation with the lender because there's mortgage requirements for insurance. Well, that borrower can't go out and get more insurance on that manufactured home. It's against the law for them. It's insurance fraud for them to get more insurance on that property, and so if the board can't take it, whereas the lender is left with a loan that they can't sell because they've originated at our interest rate, and they've thought of us coming to us, and then they find out it doesn't meet the policy that we currently have in place.
Has a question. I'll jump in. Run away. Okay.
And so, we've kind of gone around in the office trying to figure out what to do about this. I've checked with the Board of Appraisers, and to mark the comparables, they're there for that marketable value to be assessed at $202,000. They have a willing buyer willing to pay that amount for it. So there's a disconnect between the insurance and the appraised value of that property. If we leave it in place, it does limit the number of manufactured homes that we can help finance. It pretty much eliminates single buys, and the older manufactured homes are, they're harder to insure because the manufactured homes still as I look at this, I think we have a couple of choices. One would be if we want to limit our financing of manufactured homes, that we see that up front and we eliminate single-family, single-wide manufactured homes out of the program, and we maybe move the date forward from 76 to something newer, so that going into the loan, the lender knows right away they're not going to be able to finance it with forward financing, so that they don't get to the end of the transaction and they have us trying to enforce a policy that's not clear to them. Either that, or we follow industry standards and we move to taking the insurable value that the insurance companies deem should be given a test to these manufactured homes, and we allow those into our portfolio. Other states, I have looked at their rules, and other states don't have most of them follow the Fannie rules, which means they'll accept the insurable value that's been assessed by the insurance.
So you had the opportunity to investigate if there was a market solution that would actually insure gaps for lenders?
No.
I would guess that there's probably out there a product that we could try to consider make that. I would consider the option to go away because a lot of the folks that are really struggling with that first home, this is where they're at. And they're trying to get affordable financing, and they slip into a rate that's not sustainable, and that's a problem that doesn't go away. And I know that there's this market adjustment that has to be made on manufactured homes, and it's an ongoing debate, and our job is worried about that too, to see what we should do to offer a reasonable rate. Now, I don't mean we should take undue risk. We have to think that it should be sustainable. But I really think that it was a little, there may not be. But I know recently I had a family member that went in and bought a relatively new Nissan and bought all the bells and whistles and financed the $3,000 warranty, all this crap, and included gas insurance. So in case she wrecked the car, that the payoff from the insurance company would be less than she owed, so they wanted to make sure to cover that. So I said, well, why wouldn't it work here?
And I have not heard about that. Most discussions I've had with vendors, that's a problem, but it's definitely something we can look into. So, so Vicki, the risk here is that there's a claim. We'll claim a fire claim, whatever it is, and it exceeds what the insured value is, and so that that borrower is still responsible for paying the loan, but there may not be an asset to live in the meantime. Did you have a chance to talk to other states about that? I mean, there's real risk and then there's perceived risk, and so this actually happens, and are they concerned about it, or what did you hear?
I heard a lot of silence when we put it out on the listener. A few responded and said, Illinois, they don't do a lot of manufactured home financing, so they don't have a problem. And the states that do, they all came back and said there's a problem. And to the best of my knowledge, my time as a board, the homeownership program manager, I'm unaware of any losses being incurred by borrowers or any situations where they've had to cover, a loss that their insurance didn't cover on a manufactured home, full loss. I do have, concerns. I mean, in the instance of the Belgrade property, you're looking at the borrower being left with a lot that the appraisal states is $45,000 in value, but, they've got $110 left to pay on that loan. And I don't know that they can sell that property, so they walk away and the board's left holding a lot, Belgrade for $110,000. But we haven't seen that.
Have we ever had a loss on one?
There's been some loss in the foreclosure. With FHA, you always lose some interest if one goes to foreclosure. RD and the PMI insurance companies, we have to sell those. If there's been damage, we have to do as much repair as necessary to be able to sell. So we have incurred some loss, but we do in foreclosure, we do. Outside of foreclosure, I'm not aware of any loss being incurred.
Fire. It's a manufactured home.
Right.
John?
I was just going to expand on that. So we haven't seen any losses as far as damages, things like those types of scenarios that we're trying to get out in front of here.
Right. Not that I have heard of.
I'm kind of hesitant to craft a solution for a problem that we may or may not even have. And it seems to me in order to, I don't know if we could, answering Bob's, inquiry, kick this can down the road, maybe June. Would that be unfair, or what would you like to do here?
What are you asking?
So, because of there is no loss, because I don't know of loss that's been incurred by the borrower or by the board in a situation like this, and with the loan, they come to us close, so there's a struggle, and every time there is, I hear from the lenders, it's industry standard. Every other investor accepts the insurable value on the manufactured home. And so my proposal today was that we
is to remove the language about the borrower becoming a co-insurer and accept the coverage equal to the full insurable value that is determined to revert to the industry standard.
So I'm about to make a motion to approve this, but I would want to also, and this doesn't have to be part of the motion at all, just encourage the staff to bring us back something in June that said, yeah, I looked at all of this and it's doable or not doable, and we can modify this. But I'm prepared to make this motion today that we change the policy to meet what really is the industry standard. And specifically, well, I'll talk about that after the motion. Okay, so I move that we adopt the staff proposal as Bob has seconded the motion with a two-finger like that. For those who didn't hear a word. And Eric, any discussion for this?
Yeah, any discussion, I can tell you I'm not in favor of the motion right now. There's no hurry that Bob raises about points like the gap coverage and are there other alternatives, and we have to answer questions. I just don't think there's any necessary necessity for us as a board right now to pass a motion.
Thank you. Any other board?
Well, just with respect to my friend Eric, if we leave the current policy in place, it'll reduce the number of loans and solutions for those people in the interim. And yet we have not had a plan. So I would rather, if we can survive 30 days, I would rather see us give you the authority to follow industry standards and then look for a market-based solution. There has to be, and there will be a cost for whether it's gap insurance or something. I'd rather find a solution that people can willingly pay for than have no options. And I think that's our purpose.
So, Vicki, question to you. Would you prefer that the board would really follow Sheila's motion and do this today for 30 days until June when you may come back with some other information? Or how would you personally like us to?
So my preference would be to remove the language about the co-insurer, and we find out about the gap insurance.
Okay.
And then if the board decides that it's necessary for us to have limitations in our program, which this creates, then I prefer the limitations be that we eliminate the financing of single wives, or we move the year forward from 76, or forward.
Or a combination.
Yeah, or a combination. And that way the lenders know upfront when they're doing a manufactured home financing and they're looking at the board as an option for that borrower, they know upfront because the board won't accept single wife, we can't place this loan with the board. Because the policy as it sits right now, you get into the transaction before they figure out that it doesn't work. And then sometimes they still don't figure out that it doesn't work. They close the loan and the staff has a loan that we shouldn't buy because it's against board policy. So I think if we're going to have something that limits it, it needs to be upfront limiting, not the way it's written currently.
Yes, if I could, Chairman, I think that even if we developed our internal pool, in other words, there would be a surcharge on any manufactured home that had a gap, and let that go into a fund and a pool to offset potential future losses. So actuarially, it can make sense, and there should be a premium, I think, because you're going to pay. What we want to do is keep it in front of them so they know what it is. But let's make sure we're sustainable and we're not exposing ourselves without a resource. That's a concern. I don't know if any of you have dealt with Rocket Mortgage, but they started out as Green Tree because they financed manufactured homes for years and years and years because everybody else had this paranoia, we can't do manufactured homes, and they built an empire out of it. So a lot of the people that have manufactured homes that need us are very good tenants, are to take care of this place. They work hard, but it's what they can afford. I think that we do need to be cognizant here, and we need to develop a policy if we can't find an actual policy. Actually, there are matrix that we can look at that will say, okay, you guys are going to have a $500 surcharge or something that goes into the pool that will help self-fund potential losses, something like that. But I think there are solutions.
Ricky, can you bring then to the next board meeting what that policy change would be like what we're talking about in terms of whether we move the years up or the combination. Are you going to then create that for us to review, or is that a discussion we need to have amongst ourselves?
No, I think that if we move to removing the co-insurance language now, looking into the gap insurance and creating a possible pool of our own and bring that forward, and if that's not doable, then the request would be to the board, if there's concern about the law, then let's adjust the policy, move the year forward, or, eliminate the single one. So there may be a month here where we get manufactured homes in that is only insured with the insurable value as opposed to the loan amount.
Do you have a concern that if we did eliminate the single wide, does that hurt? Does that hurt the folks that we're talking about, or is it?
Well, right now, my understanding is that the board is the one financing mechanism for single wide manufactured homes.
Okay.
Or
if we were even to move the year up, like you said, to 77 or 80, whatever the number needs to be, how much difficulty does that create then for people?
That for that one, I need to run a report, and I should have done it here to see the age of the manufactured homes that we've financed in the last 10 years, get an idea of the number of older manufactured homes. They're not all older, and the issue doesn't come up on every one of them, okay? I think we've had 3 that we've been in discussion with this year. It's not huge, but it is a problem, and every time we face these confusing civil lenders, and they can't figure out why we're not like all the other investors.
So in the absence of time, what I'd like to do is vote on this motion that we have before us now. And with the idea that this will be an agenda item in June, and you will have lots more facts, so we will have this discussion, and decisions in that regard can be made now. Does that work for everybody?
Sure.
Okay. So the motion before the floor today, she was moved and Bob seconded, is to approve the change policy to remove the language about the borrower becoming co-insurer and accept the coverage equal to the full insurable value that is determined by the insurance company. All in favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Good.
Pat votes yes.
All right, it's unanimous, and that motion is approved. And I think, Vicki, you have one more program, homeownership notes or something of the sort.
Yes, the homeownership program update. As you can see from the dashboard, the loan production from March to the middle of April, the number of regular program loans that we had coming in, the number of set-aside loans, as well as the number of down payment assistance loans are listed there for your review. We did close on the 2018 bond deal on Thursday, and we announced we were raising our rate to 4% on Friday morning, and we ended up reserving up all of the proceeds from the 2018 bond issue. So we will start new financing, put together a new bond issue for financing from the 2018 issue very soon. We'll be working with me and Patrick on that. The March changes in portfolio are listed there for your review. You can get an idea of the number of loans that we purchased in that month, in the month of March, how many loans paid off, how many loans went into foreclosure. As you can see, the February balance was 5,106 loans. We put 3 additional loans on in the month of March. I believe we're starting to transition into growing our portfolio back up. We've been pretty even keeled, keeping it about the same, around between 5,000 and 5,100 loans. I hope you see that increasing now. Rates are starting to go up, so it's working in our favor. The delinquency rates and foreclosure rates listed there on the bottom. I did want to point out, Board of Housing, our servicing department services about 85% of the loans that the board pulls. delinquency rate was actually down under 3. Mary has been working very, very hard recently to get those delinquency rates down, and she's done a great job. And then on the back, you can see the distribution of FHA, RDEA, insured and non-insured loans in our portfolio, both by loan count and dollars. And then lender and public outreach events by Julie and staff are listed on the bottom for your review.
Or any more comments? Thank you.
Vicki, where it says HUD 184, so are we making HUD 184 loans?
So we do have a lender that is making HUD 184 loans.
So we purchased the.
And we purchased that.
Any other questions for Vicki?
I just make one comment that, if you look at page 23, you can see how many events board staff has been at. Julie in particular, and as far as Great Falls Home Show, and part of it they're helping her the post op, and she's doing like a 2.5-day or 3-day show solo on the floor office hours. So thanks, Julie, for it.
Thank you, Julie.
Julie,
Thank you, Julie. Thank you. And thank you, Vicki. Well done. Mary. Mortgage servicing.
Morning, board.
Morning.
Okay, so our servicing team is moving right along. We have approximately 4,700 loans that we service. As Vicki said, about 85% of the warehouse portfolio. We have about $437.8 million. We have approximately 5.7 in our escrow fund and about $772,000 in our lock draft. As far as our delinquency, 60-plus days in March was 150. Right now, I think I ran a report the other day, and I think we're below 90. So it has gone down considerably.
Super.
And I think we're going to stay steady now. Also, actual foreclosures, we had 3 in March. April was kind of a busy month. We had 5. But still a little less than it was a year ago. As far as delinquent contracts made, same thing. We had about 720 last year at this time, and we have 490 this month. So, we're making a lot of phone calls to early delinquencies. They're doing a great job. They're getting a lot of participation from our borrowers, a lot of contacts. They're calling back, they're emailing back, letting us know when they're making payments. They're participating very well, our borrowers. Then also late fees, of course, then they decrease a little bit because they're not as late as often. I did see also that our new loans, we almost doubled compared to what we paid off. So we always like to see that. And of course, going into the season, I think we might be seeing more of that. We still have our national HUD tier rating is 98.35%. We will be getting the tier score for quarter 1 of 18, I believe, June. In June, we should have that score. And I think it's going to be pretty close to the same. Back to financial packets, we've been doing pretty good on that. As soon as they get on our desk, they're off. So we have 0 right now. Repayment plans on all of our 4,700 loans. We have 28 payment plans, which really is not a whole lot. And that's a steady, and they seem to be paying. Short sale seating loans, we don't have a lot of those. Camps, partial claims, 9, and I believe this month we've got that down to 5 that are active. Let's see, preservation properties, we've got about 18 on this list. We've been pretty busy getting these properties conveyed back to the insured, and we are down to 11. So bankruptcies, however, seem to be increasing a little bit. When it does go to foreclosure, and it's kind of their last-ditch effort to save their home, we've been seeing a bit of an increase on those. It's been in the 20s, so I think, for the last few quarters. I think when I started in June 15, we might have had like 13 bankruptcies, so probably close to double. I think that's about it. Any questions?
Sherry, can you explain what loss draft is?
Yes, loss draft are insurance funds that we receive from the insurance companies when a borrower needs to file a claim on their cabin insurance. Say there's a hailstorm, anything that damages the property, those funds go into their loss draft account. And then Brian is our servicer who handles those. And I think we had close to 900. The most we had in loss draft was about 920,000. So right now we're down to about 772, and that seems to be pretty average. I'd like to see it maybe a little less. But any other questions?
Congratulations on the job you're doing. It's just phenomenal to see. It's really nice. Thanks, Mary. You betcha. Mary. Lopside family cooker.
Good morning. Good morning. First thing we have is bond resolution, tax exempt bond resolution on the 4% side of the Rockcrest, especially Great Falls. Rockcrest is a new construction property in Great Falls. It is an 81-unit family property. I have to apologize for my typing. That camera phone is really late. My computer had issues. The project was approved by the board in 2016, 2017 on credit. This is the 4% side of the 9%, 4% project that you approved. This will be an estimated $14 million tax exempt bond transaction. And this project is developed by GMD Development in Neighborworks. Do we have somebody with Neil here? Do you want to talk about that at all?
While Neil's coming up, I'd like to declare that I'll be not speaking on or voting on this case resolution.
Thank you. Neil Ford here, Neighborworks, Great Falls. So the project, we're hoping to be underway with site work and grading. But Mother Nature has said otherwise. We did go out to bid, and bids came in quite high. So we were working with the general contractor to value engineer the project to come with a budget. All of our financing is in place. Our syndicator is in place. We have a commitment letter from them. So we're ready to move forward once we get this project within our budget parameters. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Board questions? Thank you.
On resolution. If the board decides to move forward, staff recommends the approval of this resolution contingent upon staff re-underwriting the updated.
Mary, is this a combination of this?
Pardon?
Or is this just a formality at this stage? As we see, not approved.
This is the actual bond resolution for the bond.
Bob made a motion, and second? Is there a second on this motion? Second. Amber has seconded. Any questions, discussion from the board? So the move is to approval of this bond resolution contingent upon staff re-underwriting the updated UNI app. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
And Pat?
Pat votes yes.
And Sheila has abstained. Okay, thank you, Mary. Move on.
That's what I got there.
Next is the Bellagio. I hope I pronounced that correct. Bellagio bond resolution in Missoula. This is a new construction property in Missoula, Montana. It's a 200-unit family property on Otis Street. There will be project-based vouchers in some of the units. And this will be an estimated $25 million tax bond transaction. This project is being proposed by the Missoula Housing Authority and Compliant Development. Staff did the inducement resolution on it a month or so. Staff has reviewed the application and
glad I get to speak when we have a packed house. More dangerous. Members of the board, thank you very much for your time and consideration of our proposal. I guess I'll first start by introducing the development team. I'm Jason Bowl with Blue Line Development. Kate Richmond with Blue Line is here, Lori Davidson with the Missoula Housing Authority, and Irvington Tinder with Madison Crossing LLC. Well, here it is. It's a 4% tax credit project that actually works in the state of Montana. Sorry, I'm not too close to you. It's difficult to develop these deals in Montana for a number of reasons. Specifically, there's only a few markets in the state that actually can support the scale needed for this type of development. Two, it's hard to find a site in a qualified census tract that actually allows us to get the 30% basis boost for the tax credits. And three, there's just limited amount of soft sources available for this type of development. With Bellagio, and I think I'm saying it correctly. With Bellagio, we meet all those criteria. We're in a market that can support 200 units. In fact, our market study indicated that there's a need for an additional 1,351 units at our proposed rent levels. The site is located in a qualified census tract, which allows us to get 30% basis boost on our 4% tax credits. And we've identified a number of soft sources that we will be utilizing for this project. I'll give you a little bit of detail on the project. We're proposing 93 two-bedroom units, 101 three-bedroom units, 60. We'll have 40% units and 60% AMI units. The 40% units will be supported by project-based vouchers provided by the Missoula Housing Authority. The Missoula Housing Authority and Madison Crossing LLC will both be members of the general partner, and the Missoula Housing Authority is sponsor of this project. Let's just talk briefly about the financing. We're estimating $36.4 million in total development. We're using a variety of sources for this proposal. 4% tax credit equity, HUD 221D4 loan, city home financing, potentially CDBG or financing from the city of Missoula, TIF financing, a deferred developer fee, and a $1 million soft loan from the Missoula Housing Authority. The property is also being donated to the project by Madison Crossing LLC, who in the form of a $1 annual lease through the compliance period. We're really excited about this project. We feel this is a great opportunity for us as developers and for the Board of Housing to approve 200 units without the use of tax credits. Just last year, there were 18 applicants for LOIs, I believe. And 8 were selected to full applications to MBOH, and ultimately 6 were selected for funding. Those 6 projects in total will provide 163 units in a balanced state. And we just think it's a great opportunity for the board to approve 200 units without using that 9% tax credit. We're asking the board to approve our bond resolution today for $25 million to support a much-needed project in our community. And we're here to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Board, questions?
It's more of a comment. I just, all of the outstanding I'm delighted to see this kind of project come forward personally because we have had a disproportionate and unfortunate. The need is there. We know it is for the number of low cost tax credit projects. So the more that the intelligence and brilliance that all of you bring forth are really what makes it work. So I appreciate this effort.
Any other board comments?
Yes, Jennifer. You said it was a $46 million project? Is that what you said?
No, 36.4.
36, okay. And then you did mention TIF financing. Is that something that has been done a lot in Missoula? Billings uses that a lot, but I know a lot of other communities struggle to use TIF financing.
TIF financing is going to be a gap filler once we determine what our award from the city for our home and CDBG requests and home from the state.
Okay.
In our final credit pricing, yes.
What's the land, any acres, how much land is this project sitting on?
Well, I believe it's approximately 3.7 acres, and we're going to get an additional amount of land when we get a couple of the streets that don't really go anywhere.
How much more land would that be? Is that another couple acres? Or?
It's not another couple acres. It's not that much. I imagine it's less than a half.
Oh, just
yeah.
I know there's other folks from the Bellagio development here. If any of them would like to speak or say, stand up. I know Lori's here. I know Dan is here. But any other comments either of you would like to make? Hi, Lori.
I just want to say that the Housing Authority has been trying to put together a project like this for a number of years, 4, maybe 5 years. And this project seemed to be the perfect collaboration. Without the cooperation of the landowner here today, this could not have happened. If it wasn't an QCT, it wouldn't have happened. If the Housing Authority didn't have $1 million to bring into it, the vouchers, it wouldn't be happening. 4% are extraordinarily difficult to do in Montana. So we really appreciate your vote in favor of it. It's something we're extremely excited about. This can actually move the needle for affordable housing in Missoula, and it's very difficult to do that with nice credits alone. So thank you.
Thanks, Lori. Thank you, Dan.
Morning, and thank you, guys. My name is Dan Ermitinger from Missoula. I'm on the land side of this deal, and we've got a great team, great opportunity to put all that together. It's a collision of good things. I think our values and goals all align well, and hope we can have it. Thank you.
Any other comments, questions from the board? To entertain motions.
I'd be tickled.
Motion that is tickled to make. Do I have a second? I'll second it. Amber seconded. Any further discussion from the board? The motion being to approving the attached fund resolution for $25 million, which you'll see in your file here. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And Pat?
Pat says yes.
Unanimously approved. Congratulations.
The next item is an additional housing credit request of $50,000 for North Star in Wolf Point. North Star was awarded credits in 2016. The property was placed in service in the fall of 2017. Some of the furnaces were impressed with a perfect storm of moisture and temperature. A letter from Jean Lohr explaining the situation. I believe she is in the room if you would like to see. I have a couple of pictures that I'll ask you guys to see what happened.
Hi, Jean. Welcome.
Madam Chair, board members, the project, 28-unit project, that was finished in late November. We started the lease up and winter occurred. The end of December, January, and February, we were largely shut down. 22 of the 28 furnaces wouldn't operate. The project architect, Bill Haynes, from Collaborative Design, is here. You can sure add comment, as is part of that adoption, who's the executive director of Great Northern Development Corporation in Wolf Point, and who she and her staff, more than anybody else, saved that project. Temperatures hit 35, 40 below up there. The wind was blowing hard. And the furnaces, they're high efficiency furnaces. They were installed correctly, as near as we can tell. Conair Engineering out of Billings was the HVAC contractor. They did a good job on it. York furnaces were installed according to spec, and was just literally overwhelmed by the winter. We've not yet got a fix for it. It slowed down lease up by about 3 or 4 months. There was, again, some attitude, some doubt in the community about the viability of the project. As it opens and we're trying to lease it up and folks are trying to move in, all of a sudden we can't do it. We've incurred already a couple of $100,000 in costs. We know there'll be, our estimates are there'll be another 100,000 or so in just some sort of a permanent fix to it. And between York, Conair, the architects, we're still, we're not arguing about it. We're trying to get to what the appropriate fix for the project is. And we don't know that today. We're committed to having it finished by August of this year, so it's in place. Mountain Plains Equity Group is the syndicator on it. Glacier Bank's the investor. They're willing to buy the additional credits at a rate that's not what the original credits were, but it's above today's market. So they're stepping up to try to help out with this. They, like us, want a plan that guarantees the long-term fix, and I think we'll get there. But we're not quite there yet. We know the problem we've had. We don't honestly know the solution. The York company, which is a subsidiary of jumping on the company, but they're a big nationwide company, and their engineering firm out of Texas has had 3 or 4 people analyzing this, trying to replicate it to some degree in their lab, and look at how they can get it fixed. So all the partners on it are working hard to do it. We've had the problem. We don't have the fix yet, but I think we will get there. Again, I think there would have been long-term unmanageable damage to that project if the Great Northern Development folks in Havre, Victoria, and her staff hadn't gone above and beyond middle of the night weekend space heaters, moving folks who were in there out, stalling other folks who wanted to come in. So it was, I'm proud of the team effort that occurred. In a simplistic sense, I think the energy efficient furnaces that are required by code aren't up to that. But the icing on the exhaust is a common problem. I think we had it much more extreme than most places. But, and I don't know what you do to get around code. I don't know, whether there should be an exception that would allow for a larger furnace that's less energy efficient so that the icing doesn't occur. I think there are some options out there. We could heat the chase. We could reroute the chase. Vents. We could add a heat source to the existing fluid. So, happy to answer any questions.
So, has the manufacturer, you're in negotiation now with there's potentially any warranty potential? You know, they haven't declared whether it's not our problem. I mean, are you kind of in that or through that? Or?
The real question here seems to be the insurance company and what liability they'll accept. From what I understand, Bob, the architect, the HVAC engineer, and the general contractor, Fisher Construction out of Billings, all represent that they were installed correctly. They were installed within the manufacturer's specifications. The insurance company just recently had somebody come up and take a look at it, and not surprisingly, they've offered an initial difference view. So I think we're going to go back and forth with insurance companies. We've not gotten into it yet with York as to whether they'll participate in the damage end of it. So I don't know.
My reason for asking is that not so much this particular deal, but if we ask for indemnification from developers, how do we know we have adequate indemnification? If in this one you have a problem that's pretty serious and everybody's scrambling, I mean, is there any way? I mean, there has to be some way, for us as a board that do projects all over a state that has, as we find out, and no extremes.
Yeah.
And so that's my question is more to that, not to particular.
And I understand that, and I kind of asked that in a way of, what options did we have? It's not a surprise that it gets cold in the Windlows and Wolf Point. What both kind of the architects and Conair came back with is, well, we've got a building code that says, the high energy efficiency furnaces are what we need to use today. And the physics of it is at 25 below with enough wind, you get a snow cone on top of your vent and your furnace shuts off. And boy, that happened repeatedly for December, January, February, and I'm not sure whether it was March or not, but it was. In other parts of the state, those same furnaces with the same specs work just fine.
Well, I know how it gets in Wolf Point. I was there once and saw a fox chase a rabbit. It was so cold they were both lost.
Yes. So I'm looking at a $550,000 budget. So can you tell me the expense side of that budget?
Well, there's about $200,000 in costs that the project's already paid for additional repair work on sheetrock for construction companies, staff to work to keep the place from freezing up, cut the vent tops off, to put in some instances 3 or 4 different fixes if they could get something to work in the middle of the winter. 3-inch vent pipe instead of 2-inch vent pipe, a 2 or 3 different remedies that were tried on 3 or 4 furnaces at a time to see which one might work. So we've incurred a couple of $100,000 cost. We assume there'll be another $100,000 cost in terms of fixing it and part of that may be a kind of an investor required reserve account, waiting for next year to see if it works for it. We've got a law, we've extended by at least 4 months the lease up, which leaves the construction loan in place and adds $40,000 to the interest cost, and we forbond the revenue that we expected to have with a normal lease up. So, we will, with the sale of those credits, Sheila, we anticipate about $429,000. As I said, we don't know for sure what it is. If we change, and there are preliminary plans to do it, if we change the way the furnaces are vented, that could be very expensive. And one of the options is to run them out through a common walkway and sort of cheese on the end of it that's open on both sides so that the water drips down and the gases go up. Given the design of the building, our fear is we end up with a lot of moisture at 3 primary entryways to the project to do that. Because the entryways are common space. The furnaces are all located in that entryway or adjacent to it through doors. And, it's a part is what sort of a fix will work and how do we not make another project where we fix it. So, we anticipate about $429,000 from the sale of the credits. We don't know exactly what the fix will cost. We've got.
I have time.
Okay.
Here, I have a question for Mary, please. So, Mary, how do we monitor how these credits are spent? I mean, should we just award them? If there's money left over, do they come back? Is it the developers? What if they would get an insurance payment? Then we're still out there for $550,000?
We get EPA review cost certification of these. We do see periodically credits come back when they haven't used all of it. You could certainly add something on your motion that if there are other funds that become available, that they would return.
It's possible, Sheila, we don't incur all of the costs. And if we don't, I don't clearly understand the mechanism, but I'm fine to turn the thought.
Go ahead, Eric.
So I just have a question for Mary. I'm to board members still. Is this in the normal course of business we see this happen on the additional credits?
It happens periodically, not very often.
It's fun to pass some more.
Yes.
Gene, if I have some angst, it's about the fact that you really don't know if this is going to work.
Yeah.
I understand that, and I guess that's the thing is very supportive of trying to help you guys out. That's where I just sort of sit here. Greg, could you speak at all to the realities of what we're doing?
Yeah, this somewhat similar situations have come up before where a project needed additional credits to get to the finish line. The board did adopt a provision in the QAP. I know it's been some years ago, provides for a request for increasing the amount of credit reservations. So there is that provision in the QAP, and the project makes an application to the board. Staff reviews it and does the underwriting and takes a look at it, and then they can bring that to the board. So you do have authority in the QAP to make this additional credit awards to the extent there are credits available.
That's true. That's pretty my record. What does credit available mean? Where do these credits come from?
These are credits that were not awarded, or these credits would come from credits that were not awarded and the additional credits we received for the 2018 credit that comes from the omnibus status that so Deer Lodge was giving that there was no leftovers. That's what you're saying. And how do you know the number? Is it tiny? Is it roundabout? How much? $1 million. Oh, $1 million. Okay.
Go ahead. My name is Tori Manajewski with Great Northern Development Corporation, and I just want to say thank you for the support that we received from MBOH, not just with the financing, but also the staff capacity. We really have a great village helping us with this project. I know it takes a village to raise a child, but in this case, it takes a village to raise an apartment complex. And we've had help from the HRDC and Bozeman and in Havre. Gina's been fantastic. Bill, really trying to find a solution to the furniture. And I live in Wolf Point, and you do see 30 below weather a lot every year, but this year was a particularly bad year. It was a consistent year that we don't normally see. We might get a day or two, but not weeks. So I'm almost confident that really they will find a solution. This was an unfortunate timing, but also at the same time we noticed everybody came together, the community remained supportive of the project. We never had a lull in applicants because of it, and we were still able to move tenants in. So we never saw an impact to tenants, which was great. And really it was because of the team we had and the support we had from all of you and the MUH staff. So I just want to say thank you.
Not to be argumentative about, because this is not a team. I thought I heard him say said. You know, some of the people in the community were upset or nervous.
They were nervous.
Those kinds of things. I just want to make sure that.
And that's kind of where we came in, because we're the local development corporation, and so we were able to speak one-on-one with those people that had concerns. But again, it wasn't enough to slow people down from moving in. I mean, we had people moving in from outside communities. Okay. So, yeah, I that was, but it wasn't enough where it was stopping any progress.
So, is there, just not a specific question, again, but a great question. Is there a builder's risk policy that can cover this kind of exposure, or is it just not available? From developers, are you guys aware?
Developers.
Like all risks or weather or
just more. If you're working with the staff, I think it would depend with the loss for building it the place service. That's so that's why I think you mentioned you're dealing with your insurance.
Right. The general liability. A lot of times homeowners insurance, if there's extreme weather and you have frozen pipes, so homeowners coverage will fix it. I mean, to me it seems like there should be some way to insure this kind of risk. I don't know.
Amber.
This is a yes, no, I don't know question. Is there an alternative for this that meets building code requirements that might be able to handle weather better?
Yes. Large.
Okay. So, well, and that's my point though, is that it's probably not as cost effective if it's a bigger unit.
And we'd have to move walls.
Correct. So the problem being that a lot of times we see where code requirement is adding cost to these developments and continues to make them unaffordable to not only build but to get people to move into. So the bigger issue being, outside of this project, because I am from the Highline, and even though this might be a once in a 20 year, it happens. The Highline is rough. So I wouldn't want to see another project moving forward and coming across the same problem because they're trying to meet building code, or it gets out of the reach of homeowners or renters because the cost to put in these units to meet building code requirement is too high. So I think the bigger issue is building code, and we need to look at that and what it's doing to affordable housing. So that's just the last issue.
I have a question for you. So you said that Glacier Bank is willing to purchase the credits. Well, how do they react if we put a provision in there that you have to give back money after once you find some other funding to fix your problem? Do they still want to purchase all of it, or I don't know how that all works.
My sense is that, Glacier's already a partner in it. They've purchased a chunk of the credits. They're a good partner. They're in it for the right reasons, as well as it's a financial investment for them. If the project doesn't get fixed, they lose more money than anybody else. My sense is, and I don't, in a normal transaction, there's a tax credit award, there's an agreed on purchase price, and it's all set up front. And that's in place at this point. Don Sturhan with Mountain Plains Equity has talked to Glacier. They're willing to purchase additional credits. Their willingness, my impression is, and Don Sturhan could shed light on it, but my impression is they're willing to help us get it fixed. I don't know what the mechanism would be that would allow a purchase of credit, a minimum purchase of X, because part of it is putting the money in place to finish the project, because there's still work out there that needs to be done. The existing construction loan is about used up, and so far everybody's paid and everybody's current, but we want a plan in place that keeps it that way. On the other hand, I think the concern is, if there's 100,000 credits that are worth 100 or 150,000 in equity that aren't necessary, how do we work that? My sense is that Glacier would be flexible with us on figuring out a way to do that. I don't know the way, Johnny. Okay.
Don, would you like to speak? Yes, please do.
Don Sturhan, Mountain Plains Equity Group. I'll try to be brief. Yes, we have had good conversations with Glacier Bank. They're willing to step in. I think we would want to work with Mary Bear and the Montana Board of Housing to coordinate from start to finish. I don't know what is the mechanism we're going to put in place, and how do we give it back. They've authorized up to the amount of tax credits that are available that will be purchased. So what do we actually need? Getting back to your point, how do we know that it's fixed? Obviously, Gene's been pretty transparent about the fact we're still working on that solution. And remind you that we have 2 in-house people at Mountain Plains Equity Group who work on the construction side and the risk mitigation side. Part of the value I think we bring to our investors is to say when things like this happen, we're on top of it. We're working with these folks, we're working with manufacturers, and their architects to come to a solution so we're fully engaged. So that's what we continue to go. We're not about equity deal. We don't know what the outcomes are. So I think that's the benefit that we bring to a transaction like this. That part of the nice thing about a public-private partnership is we can bring some of the disciplines to the table to make sure that everyone's best interests are spoken. We would want to work with Mary to make that happen.
Thanks, Don.
I would underscore, I think this code issue is very serious. This is not the first time we've encountered it.
Yeah.
I think energy efficiency and getting points from that is all well and good, but the reality is, in northern Montana, we have some issues with that. So, pretty honest about.
Can I have one more?
Yes, you certainly may, Sheila.
So I'm going to go back to my 25 years at a natural gas utility, and it looks to me like a new design day has been established last winter. And so your furnaces are designed to meet the extreme day, the design day, and I think points exceeded that, right? But I want to talk about the idea that if a larger furnace would have been installed to begin with, it would be much less costly than installing one today. So we just have to make sure that that design day is met. But I really would want to see that and make sure that these were designed for a different design day. Here's what's troubling me about this. It's that I don't see anyone else putting money on the table. I don't see an insurance company. I don't see an engineer. I don't see an architect putting money on the table to fix this. And so the board is being asked to take credits from another future project and put it into this project. And that's just troubling to me.
I'm not saying I won't go for it, but I just see it, well, we'll go to the board and we'll ask them for 100% of the cost. And I think that's fair to future projects.
Madam Chairman?
Pat,
Um,
go ahead.
I also share Sheila's concerns here. I'm ultimately probably going to support this, but I do take objection to the suggestion there's no blame to assign anyone other than the Wolf Point winter. I guess we're all aware that winter does come to Wolf Point occasionally, nearly every year. And I think there is blame here, and I think the blame lies largely with the manufacturer who sells a furnace that's supposed to work when it gets cold outside. So I think the issue is their design, their manufacture, and their installation specifications. So I think there is some blame that needs to be assigned, and I think that the project developers need to work on that. Thank you.
Thanks, Pat. Any other?
Yeah, I'd like to clear up a couple.
Yeah, so they can hear.
I'm Bill Haynes, Collaborative.
Closer, because can't hear everything.
I'm Bill with Collaborative Design Architects. We're the architect for the project. The engineer who designed the system was our consultant. I want to clear up a couple misconceptions about the idea of whether a larger furnace would actually solve the problem. These high efficiency furnaces put out hot air at about 80 to 100 degrees. Our old furnaces would put out temperature like 100 to 200 degrees out fast. So having a larger furnace, it's still efficient furnace, it will run less, and it will also still put out gases at about 80 to 100 degrees. So going to a large furnace is not necessarily the answer. The overall issue that we're dealing with energy is we want to reduce the long-term energy costs to the building. So, 100,000 now over 20 or 30 or 40 years is pretty small compared to blasting a bunch of gas into the building and blasting hot air out of the building. To a certain extent, we're the victim of the fact that this is a really tight, well-insulated building that goes beyond the energy code in a certain extent. So the furnace don't run as much. In fact, I think some of the people reported these furnaces in these 3-bedroom units were running maybe 2 or 3 times a day, shutting off. And so to a certain extent, we're a victim of the efficiency of it. What we need to do is find a low impact way of solving the ability to heat the very tip of that vent pipe as it comes through the roof. So what we're proposing is some kind of almost a manual system, because we're finding automatic systems are shutting everything down as soon as any of their criteria falls out of an envelope. So what we really want to do is almost have a manual system that somebody who's knowledgeable of the weather in the area can sense the temperature and flip the switch and have enough hot air blow through that vent pipe through a separate heater to melt it off. And it may only take 5 or 10 minutes to do that. But in the long term of the project, it's going to save money compared to putting in a double size furnace.
Question. Does the manufacturer represent the limit of what cold weather that this furnace would operate efficiently in?
They do have it. This furnace met that standard.
Well, what was that standard?
It's so many BTUs per hour. I'm not an engineer, so I don't know what it produces, but
I'm talking about the extremity that it operates in.
It is within the operating.
So it does sound like a manufacturer efficiency.
And York has been very helpful running tests in the lab. Finally, they've guaranteed us some sort of engineered solution.
But you haven't discussed yet any help with them?
Financially, no.
Yeah, we haven't, we don't have the cost finally nailed down. When we do, I'm sure it'll be
Dork, Conair, the insurance companies. I'm sure there will be some sort of a negotiation. We're not there yet. Okay.
I would like to make a motion to follow staff's request for approving the additional credit request. Is there a second to that motion?
Just a clarifying question, does that include ability to go back retroactive at the end of the project and look at what the credits can come back to us?
That motion doesn't include that from what my understanding would be.
I don't.
This is Pat. I will move to amend the motion to include that. I guess we need a second first.
I don't think we can assume at this point, listening to this, that there will be any access, and if there is, it's going to be awful hard for staff to track it. I think we need a report on it so our policies going forward reflect this potential future.
Is there an opportunity, though, should the insurance payment come, that would be reduced from our obligation, because that seems to be
right. So are you going to accept a check back?
Right.
That check may come in. Let's just say it came in for $300. Are you going to take 50%, 20%? There's a whole bunch of policies that are going to be affected here.
Yeah.
If we don't just reduce credits up before we start allocating credits, right?
Yeah, they have to have costs, and so is their destination grant. At the end of the day, we have to have cost certification. And part of that process, you could ask that part of that process will be that if they get money, that the basis is reduced by that money, that we can look at those up and reduce it.
So you really end up allocating less credit to meet the cost that support the allocation. So you can reserve the full amount suggested here, and it will go through this cost certification process. And again, with the QAP provides we don't award more than are necessary, so that could be the final allocation amount would be adjusted to fit the cost certification, right? Yeah. Well, that doesn't change. That motion doesn't need the amendment.
Doesn't need the amendment. That was just. It really doesn't. I think it motion would stand. Pat, are you in concurrence with that?
Yes, I'll second it if that's the motion.
Okay.
Bob, I think that makes sense. I don't quite understand the mechanics of how that works other than, reducing the basis. The other thing, and it seems to be possible that it may be a year or two down the road that an insurance settlement is issued, that there's a chunk of money that comes back into the project, is revenue that we didn't know for sure was coming or how much it's going to be. And if there's a way to keep the credit allocable for the future, great. The other option really would be if there's money that comes back in excess of what's needed, there could be an obligation or a transmission of the money to the Board of Housing to loan to some other project. I mean, I think you could do it either way. I'm not quite sure which is which would work. It just strikes me as I wouldn't be surprised that we're a year or two down the road before the settlement issues get worked out. Does that become part of the cost certification process?
The cost certification has to be done. It would be done before another public because it has to be done immediately when it's actually issued for it to be able to file tax.
Yeah, and the reality of this project is on the expenditures that are made already, there's a ton of excess costs. So from a cost cert standpoint, there's way more expenses than the credits that this would contemplate would be necessary to have. So, but I absolutely agree. There ought to be a way to get money back into the Board of Housing for their uses. and at the same time get the project completed in a way that
Well, I have a hunch that all of the credits are going to be used in a way that serves the affordable goals of the program. And rather than trying to burden ourselves with trying to attraction or something else, I recommend that we approve it as the recommendation from staff and monitor it and communicate. My biggest goal is I don't want to see this happen again. And we need some way to indemnify the board so that whether it's insurance, all risk, something else. I mean, right now, when everybody's nobody's saying, hey, you know what, we're going to cover that. That's a little unsettling to me, but I understand we've approved additional credits in the past for legitimate reasons. I think that everybody's the spirit's in the right place here. So I don't have any problem supporting this.
All right, and the motion on the floor is that the staff that the board has considered at length, obviously, and will approve the additional credit request of $550,000, 10 years total, for this project. Motion made by Amber and seconded by Pat. Is there any other discussion? All right, we'll vote on that motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And opposed?
Pat says yes.
Thank you. And I think that the other thing left on the table here is that I think we want to have further discussion at a further board meeting about the kinds of comments that the board has brought up and concerns. And I think that ought to be a part of it as soon as you think it's appropriate. Sorry. Thank you.
Madam Chair, I just like to make one more comment. I want the developer and the syndicator and the architect and everyone to understand that there's no sense on my part that everyone's not going to be upfront and open and honest about this. I just want to make that really clear. My biggest concern is the board putting the money out, and I think there's other responsible parties that ought to participate in this solution. So with that being said, I just want to make sure that all of you understand that we're all in this together, and I know when this happens, but I think there's more than one responsible party here.
and we will chase those responsibilities. So we'll do our best to do.
Thank you, Jean. Thanks, Sean.
And I think it may be in our best interest to group together, a working group to go to the building code to bring this issue up.
John, I'm sorry, that remains a comment. I could come. Thanks, John.
I would just say on behalf in response to the investors, I think they are. I was trying to stress that they stepped up and said, okay, they've already made a sizable investment and potentially make the argument that's a trial. So I think they are stepping up to say, okay, let's put some more money into the deal. Let's make sure we get this solid next solid. So I do think Glacier Bank as an investor deserves a little credit for us.
I appreciate that comment. Thank you.
And Jean and Don have always been very good.
Yes, indeed they have. Absolutely. Thanks. All right. Well, Mary, you're still here. Roosevelt Hill and really quick.
Okay, the next agenda item is Roosevelt Village is having some challenges working through funding and obtaining the transfer of property to proof of ownership for to meet the extension that was given in December. And so we're looking at an additional 6-month extension.
Oh, you didn't sit down there.
I did so well. Part of the financing package for Roosevelt Village, which is a 16-unit rural development project, part of it in Wolf Point, part of it is public, required or contemplated home money and housing trust funds. Those applications were submitted June 6th of 2017. We had a letter denying one of them in the last week in December of 2017, the other in mid-January of 2017, or 2018. We had discussions with the Department of Commerce Home Books and tried to understand why that project wasn't acceptable to them. We are going to meet with them in the next day or two. We've got the project ready to resubmit. Their scoring criteria that they provided us on the Housing Trust Fund application indicated that the project met all of the minimum criteria and was a viable project. I don't understand why it wasn't funded. Their home review really what provided us no detail. The Housing Trust Fund, so we figured out in January that this thing wasn't going to have the money from those sources, at least had not been granted that. The plans have been completed, they're ready to bid. Can't bid it from Hull's perspective until we've got an award in place or we violate their procurement policy. Anyway, we'll resubmit the grant application for less money. The tax credit market's improved some. We've got a very interested syndicator in it who's on board. We think the initial application was eligible for funding and should have been funded. We've improved it to the best of our ability. We've got additional engineering reports. I think we've provided them additional information. There was some concern on their part that with North Star available, it would empty out this rural development project. With the rental assistance, the folks who are in the rural development project and use rental assistance couldn't afford the rent rates at tax credit projects. So it'll take us more time to work through the issue with Hull. Given that, we need time extension.
Okay, board discussion. And I've noticed that your proposal staff presents this extension for board consideration. I don't see a recommendation.
Are there any other funding sources for that gap finance, or is this the only program you guys are working with?
It's essentially the only one.
So, like, if you were to partner with a bank for, say, AHP dollars, that Federal Home Loan Bank could deploy, or is that not enough to cover the gap?
And part of it's a timing issue. My guess is we wouldn't get enough to cover the gap. My guess is the AHP process, this was a 16 project, so it has to be complete by December of 19. If it takes very long to get a decision out of the home folks, we're going to miss another construction season. And as we've heard about the weather in Wolf Point, we're probably not going to be able to start construction till next spring, and it will be a real push to get it done in before the end of the year. How much gap are we talking? Our application allows for $840,000.
For full project.
We're just for it's one project and there's two locations. Okay. And it's for both projects. The other option is to really scale it way back and go with just debt and the tax credits. But so that already have some it's not the cost money that they could put into this and adjust their subsidy. They've got a process that might allow them to put some money into it. Again, I'm not sure that it's a matter of time it's going to work. There is and again, that's probably a year-long process to get in the queue.
Right now, that's a cost saving just to extend the time, right? So I'd make a motion to have a question.
I'll second it.
Okay, moved and seconded to extend, additional 6-month extensions for Roosevelt Villas. Any other further discussion? All in, Alex.
Sure, opportunity for public comment.
Yeah.
Alex Burkle, who's Housing Solutions, Madam Chair, members of the board. As a developer, I emphasize this stuff happens, and it's not easy what any of us do. I guess to just offer the other side of the coin. When I'm thinking back to the November meeting when 2 projects were granted extension. In February, we were so far beyond, we couldn't even extend anymore. We had to refresh credits for a project. And, a 6-month extension today for a project awarded credit, it would have been the last round. That takes those credits off the table and beyond when you guys would be awarding credits in August, not knowing whether or not that one's still going to go. It's getting difficult to know what you're competing for when not what's done. It's reentering the next competitive round over and over. And I hope that I'm not here in 3 months asking for some sort of mercy on something. We got enough things out there, it's bound to happen. But I do think it's worth saying that sometimes the timing just doesn't line up. Sometimes it didn't work, or it needs to come back and cook a little further before it's ready to take it out. So I guess that's what I bring to this discussion and others. It seems to have developed a theme, and I don't want to let myself start thinking, well, I'll take this chance because I know that there's a backstory. And I'm not accusing anyone of doing that, but at some point they have to go on.
Sure, yes. Colonel Bacon? Yes.
I appreciate Alex's comment. I just wanted to remind you a little bit of the history of this. I don't remember the exact timing, but I think it was the same years for the projects. The board extended this deadline because there were something like 6 projects that couldn't meet this proof of ownership requirement at the time. The normal time would be that you meet it by the end of that same year when the credits are awarded in order to get your carryover to extend to give you that additional time to finish the project. So there was that initial extension, and then we've had at least one other come back, and then we had the Freedom's Pass issue, which was even beyond this one, considerably beyond where this one is. So, I mean, we're kind of in that phase. There have been a number of issues with getting to that property control. So I think this is, just to understand the context of this. I don't think this is a real outlier in terms of the context of this group of projects issued to the town. Mary, is that accurate?
It actually is the year after.
Oh, this is the year after. Okay, sorry.
Similar issues.
And a number of them were RD approval issues in that initial group. So I
appreciate the comment, and from a developer standpoint, that's a judgment you make early on. Is it worth it to use homeland? It's a $3 million resource that comes into the state every year. It's designed very specifically at a federal level to work in conjunction with the tax credit project. There have historically been challenges, and the application that went in, I talked about the state's uni app, it's the same project. I think it met all of the criteria. The people awarding the money obviously did something they didn't like. You can design a project up front without that public money and depend more heavily on the tax credits. This one has upside in the credit ask, but with the home money in it, we thought it would use less credits. Your QAP designates December 1st of the year that the credits are awarded. I've got a list of suggestions I hope to make to the Department of Commerce how jointly funded projects might be more effectively moved along and communicated about. I just go back to it from the date of grant submissions, which was defined in state regulation. It took us over 7 months to hear any response at all from the home folks. I don't think that's good customer service. I don't think it's realistic. Congress passes the tax credit increase on Friday, March 30th. By Tuesday, your Board of Housing staff have assessed under your rules what they can do with that money, and it's out the door by the following Tuesday. That's remarkable service. From a developer standpoint, whether you go through the brain damage to use the home money, which increases the resource to serve low-income people, I don't know. Alex, is that a good point?
Well, we have a motion on the table, but
it's no secret to this group, I am not a fan of funding RD programs. However, I do understand our mission is to preserve as much operating subsidy as possible. And so that's why we look hard at these. And I appreciate Gene's effort to lower the amount of credits. I think it's easy to commit. We're fighting out flashy projects, get credits, and smile like you're a hero. But the fact is, when we're seeing more creativity, these dollars go further. That's why I support this.
let's, motion's on the table to extend the Roosevelt Villas for 6 more months. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Pat?
Pat says yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving forward, Mary.
Okay, I have two grant extensions to bring forward to the utilities presentable. Yeah, actually, in the interest of
yes.
So we have a single woman in Great Falls who is an extension $40,000 to pay off the mortgage. And her annual income is $16,000. And we also have a couple in Missoula seeking an exception to pay off $40,000 to pay off the mortgage. We need to involve a bathroom, but that is their annual income is $38,000.
Any board discussion and/or a motion?
Thank you.
Well, this is Pat. Both of these, Mary says, this is a presentation for the board to consider the exception. Does she suggest that we approve it?
She did, Pat. She had suggested we approve both of these.
All right.
And Eric has made a motion to approve both. Is there a second? Sheila seconded. Moved and motion to approve both RAM exceptions, one in Great Falls and one in Missoula. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Pat?
Pat says yes.
Thank you. Mary, program update.
Okay, quick update. We have 3 on the RAM progress right now. We are getting a lot of activity there. We're also getting a lot of payoffs. The funds seem to be good, but if they keep coming in at the rate they are, we'll probably be looking at some way to get more funds into that program. We have an additional FTE for compliance in the tax credit world, and that position has been filled by June Hack. Bob Bennett is retiring April 1st, so we will be putting that position out hopefully later this week. We have the qualified contract in portfolio, after year 15. We had an all-site contract yet on Aspen Moses, that period to make that happen, ended on April 5th. We got an offer from both an HRDC on that project on April 4th, and we are in the process of help negotiating on that. We're working through some of the issues with that. So I think
Yeah, I think you've heard from the board a number of areas of discussion, whether those are for strategic planning sessions and or board members about items that were discussed today. And let's keep those in mind and with past approval, Chair, continue forward with those too. Thanks, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Bruce, do you want to state there you are. Safety operations.
Good morning, board members.
Good morning.
Report will be really quick. Our staffing levels are running just fine. With the retirement, I would like to begin emphasize what Barry has in the multifamily arena. We do have a great situation with Montana Housing, and it would add some great depth, I think, to our system. So I want to commend program managers for their staff development and for their work with their staff last year. The only other element that I wanted to talk to you briefly about is Fannie Mae. As you know, earlier this year, we made our official application to become a Fannie Mae seller servicer. We've made it through several hot fire gates, and we are preparing for our on-site visit with Fannie Mae on May 22nd. They're reviewing our internal operations, our quality assurance, our homeownership processing, and evaluating our policies for security of data and information transfers and our loan tracking. Again, I need to commend our finance team for working so diligently in adjusting what we traditionally do for state finance and accounting to what now will be required for banks. This is large, and they've done a phenomenal job putting that information and data together. Also, our homeownership team and servicing team, they've done very well, and I need to publicly recognize our IT staff who've helped us work with our software vendor and with the state to make sure that we have the appropriate reporting capacity and that we have the appropriate data on a quarterly basis, which is all new. As a state entity, we do financials typically annually. Going to a quarterly reporting structure is a big deal. It's all great data. You'll see that information in your dashboard, and cross your fingers to May 22nd. It should be fabulous. Any questions?
Well, just a comment, if I could, Madam Chair. When Fannie Mae comes out, I think it's important that you bring up the fabulous relationship Montana Board of Housing had with Indian reservations under their duty to serve requirements. There's been special programs, purchase of the 184 program. The work we're doing with RD probably will bring also an opportunity to serve more. We have 70,000 Native Americans that are underserved. And I think with their partnership with yours, you can address it. So I don't think it's a small issue criteria. Probably already think
Duly noted.
If I could add to what Bob said, last week I was at the Manufactured Housing Institute annual convention, and both Freddie and Fannie talked about having a single close product under duty to serve that would deal with manufactured housing. So we do manufactured housing with a single close product. They're not there yet, but again, I think it's important for you to talk to Fannie about how well we do in the MH space, including today's action. Thank you.
And if you don't have enough on your plate, I'm currently accepting comments on new regulations for 184. I don't know if Montana Board of Housing is planning on submitting, but it would be an opportunity for some of the Federal Reserve has had trust fund lending initiative, and it may be an opportunity to bolster that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Thank you. Thanks.
Bruce?
You have a voice?
So it's about 10:40 and lunch for the conference starts at 11:30. We got about an hour and a half training plan, and that probably doesn't add up real well. So what I was thinking is if we could start the discussion on income averaging here in about 10 minutes. And then we'll go up until lunchtime and let you guys go to lunch for the conference. Mary, does that sound okay with you? Income averaging is a real interesting topic. I think in theory it's really a good thing that we're going to talk about. But as always, there's some technical issues that might pose some challenges. So we don't know all the answers, but that's what this discussion, and it's really a start of the discussion. So we are looking forward to getting letters of intent here in May for our next June board meeting, which June 4th, is that correct?
Yes, June 4th.
Right, in Helena. So make sure you guys are there. That'll be a really important meeting to be at. I know Pat will be back. June 4th, that's all I have.
June 4th, yes. Okay.
This is Pat.
Pat, yeah.
Jeanette, I just wanted to thank you for the excellent job you did chairing the meeting.
Pat.
And I wanted everybody to enjoy that balmy weather there in Butte.
Yeah, and go, what's your golf score going to be today? Yeah, we want to know.
What's going on now? We did hire a Section 8 program manager, Leslie Ferguson. She was actually the executive director for Helena Housing for a while. She's very well trained coming into her position, so that's what.
Yeah, I would really appreciate it. It would be helpful to present along our comments on my part. I've got to Jason.
Are we adjourning or are we?
We're adjourning.
Oh, we're adjourning.
We're just going to have a training discussion after.
Okay, so
We'll send out all the.
Got it.
Thank you.
Pat, thanks a lot. We'll see you in June. Okay, meeting adjourned.
Thanks, Pat.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, so what? So what? Yeah.